Amanda's grandmother, Mama Annie, always sensed things others could not. When Amanda told her she had a bad feeling, Mama Annie sighed but smiled faintly. "Fine, I'll stay home if it will ease your mind." 3 days passed, and on the third morning, the village erupted with shocking news: a great tree had fallen in the forest. It had crashed onto a spot where people often gathered firewood, right along the path Mama Annie usually took. "She is blessed," the villagers whispered. "If she had been there, she wouldn't have survived." Amanda overheard these whispers, a strange mix of relief and dread twisting inside her. Had she really saved her grandmother? But what did it mean? When Mama Annie heard what had happened, she was stunned. If not for Amanda's warning, she would have been on that path at the exact moment the tree fell. "Oh, my child," she gasped, unable to believe it. "You saved my life." Word spread quickly. First, it was a quiet murmur, then it spread like wildfire. "She told Mama Annie to stay home, and she lived. That girl sees what we cannot." Soon, people started approaching Amanda everywhere she went. Women stopped her on the way to the stream, men blocked her path in the market, and even children tugged at her clothes. "Amanda, should I go to the farm tomorrow? Please, Amanda, is something going to happen to me?" Amanda didn't know how to answer. She tried to ignore them, to pretend she saw nothing. But she did. If she looked at someone too long, she could see glowing footprints beneath them, some faint, some bright. Each one seemed to be counting down. And she could not unsee them. At first, she tried to help. She warned those in danger, telling them to stay home or be careful. Some listened and were spared from harm. Others ignored her, only to meet misfortune. One day, a young man named Obi confronted her by the village well. "You told my brother to stay home last week," he said, his voice trembling with anger. "He listened, but he still died. He fell sick and never recovered." Amanda's mouth went dry. I didn't mean." "What is the point of your warnings if you can't stop death?" Obi shouted. "You're not helping anyone. You're just scaring people." His words cut deeper than any knife. Tears filled Amanda's eyes as she watched him walk away. As days passed, the weight of her gift grew heavier. Some villagers were grateful, calling her a savior. Others whispered behind her back, "She brings bad luck. She sees death. She is not normal." Mama Annie watched her granddaughter closely. "Amanda," she said one evening, "you cannot carry everyone's burden. It is not your place." "But what am I supposed to do?" Amanda cried. "If I can save someone, shouldn't I try?" Mama Annie's face was full of both pride and worry. "Sometimes, child, knowing the truth is the heaviest curse of all." That night, Amanda sat alone outside, staring at her bare feet in the moonlight. She had never felt so exhausted. Her gift had turned into a burden she could not escape. What was she supposed to do? Warn them? Stay silent? Either way, the footprints always won. Whispers spread through the village, and fear of Amanda grew. Every little misfortune was blamed on her. Anyone who lost a relative blamed Amanda. The villagers demanded the Council of Chiefs do something about her. "She is meddling with fate," an elder muttered. "No one should see what she sees," another whispered. "It is not natural." The village chiefs called for a meeting. On the morning of the council gathering, Amanda was summoned. Mama Annie tried to go with her, but the elders insisted Amanda must come alone. She walked into the village square where the elders sat in a semicircle, their faces turned. At the center sat Boba Ade, the chief elder, his staff of office planted firmly beside him. A crowd gathered behind Amanda, their murmurs heavy with judgment. Boba Ade's voice was steady but firm. We have heard stories about you, stories of footprints and death being foretold. Is this true? Amanda nodded slowly, barely able to whisper. Yes, Baba. The elders exchanged glances. How do you know these things? One asked. I don't know, Amanda said, her hands trembling. I just see the footprints beneath people's feet. They glow, and I can tell how many days they have left. I don't cause it. I just see it. Baba Ed's gaze bore into her. And when you warn them, what happens then? Amanda hesitated. Sometimes they listen and are saved. Other times, she trailed off, unable to finish. An elder named Mama Ona slammed her walking stick against the ground. This girl meddles with the ways of the gods. If someone's time has come, it is not for us to change it. But she saved Mama Annie. Someone cried from the crowd. She couldn't save Chika, another voice countered. The villagers erupted into heated debate. Some defended Amanda, while others blamed her for their fear. Baba Ode raised his hand, and the crowd fell silent. He turned back to Amanda. Child, you have brought great unrest to this village. We will decide how to handle this matter. For now, go home and stay there. Do not speak of these footprints again. Amanda nodded, tears threatening to spill as she hurried away from the square. Behind her, the village buzzed with tension. Days after the council meeting, strange things began happening in Okota. The steady rains suddenly stopped. Day after day, the sun beat down on the fields without mercy. Crops withered, animals fell sick, and people began to grow weak. Fear gripped the village, and soon, the blame fell once more on Amanda. Desperate, the elders turned to the village priest, who consulted the oracle. When he returned, his face was pale. The oracle has spoken, he announced. Amanda's gift disrupts the natural order. The gods are angry. She must stop, or worse will come. That night, Amanda had a dream. A woman dressed in white appeared and told her, "You carry a gift, Amanda, but it is not for you to wield like a weapon. You must learn humility. Fate is not yours to control." The next day, Amanda saw glowing footprints beneath Mama Annie's feet. 3 steps. 3 days. Her instinct screamed at her to speak, but the woman's words echoed in her mind. She stayed silent, tormented, as she watched the footprints flicker beneath her grandmother. Amanda spent the next 3 days in agony. She watched over Mama Annie as she went about her daily routine, humming while she stirred a pot of soup. With each passing day, Amanda's heart pounded harder. On the 3rd day, her grandmother took a deep breath and sat down to rest. Her eyes fluttered closed, and a peaceful smile spread across her face. Amanda rushed to her side. "Mama Annie," she whispered, shaking her gently. But there was no response. Her grandmother had passed in her sleep, just as Amanda had seen. Amanda fell to her knees, tears spilling onto the floor. She had stayed silent, and fate had taken its course. But for the first time, she understood the weight of knowledge was not meant to be carried alone. Amanda spent the next 3 days in agony. She watched over Mama Annie as she went about her daily routine, humming while she stirred a pot of soup. With each passing day, Amanda's heart pounded harder. On the 3rd day, her grandmother took a deep breath and sat down to rest. Her eyes fluttered closed, and a peaceful smile spread across her face. Amanda rushed to her side. "Mama Annie," she whispered, shaking her gently. But there was no response. Her grandmother had passed in her sleep, just as Amanda had seen. Amanda fell to her knees, tears spilling onto the floor. She had stayed silent, and fate had taken its course. But for the first time, she understood the weight of knowledge was not meant to be carried alone. The village mourned Mama Annie's passing. She had been a respected elder, known for her wisdom and kindness. But whispers about Amanda only grew louder. Some believed she had accepted the will of the gods. Others believed her silence had cursed her own grandmother. Days passed, and Amanda withdrew from the world. She barely ate, barely spoke. The glow of footprints still haunted her vision, but she kept her mouth shut. She would not interfere. She would not play with fate. Then, one evening, a desperate knock came at the door. Amanda hesitated before opening it. Outside stood a woman, her face streaked with tears. "Please, Amanda," she begged. "My son is sick. I know you see things. Tell me, will he survive?" Amanda's throat tightened. "I cannot say," she murmured, beginning to close the door. The woman dropped to her knees. "I am begging you. I don't care what the elders say. If you know something, tell me." Amanda hesitated. She could not let herself be consumed by fear. She could not bear another burden, but she could not ignore suffering either. Slowly, she nodded. "I will come with you." She followed the woman to a small hut at the edge of the village. Inside, a boy lay on a mat, drenched in sweat, his breath shallow. Amanda looked down and saw faint footprints beneath his feet. They were dim, flickering like dying embers. He was close to the edge, but not beyond saving. "He still has time," Amanda whispered. "Get him to the river at dawn. Let him drink from the source before the sun rises." The woman clutched her hands. "Thank you. Thank you." Amanda returned home, her heart pounding. Had she done the right thing? Would her warning upset the balance again? At dawn, she waited by the river's edge. The woman arrived, carrying her son in her arms. She knelt by the water, cupped her hands, and gave him a sip. The boy shuddered, but then, slowly, his breathing steadied. His fever broke. He would live. Amanda let out a shaky breath. Perhaps she could not change fate entirely, but she could guide it. Not every soul was meant to be saved, but some could be helped. That was her purpose. The villagers watched, their fear still lingering. Some still called her cursed. Others whispered of miracles. But Amanda no longer listened. She had learned something far more important. Fate could not be controlled, but compassion could never be silenced. Amanda hesitated. "Master it. But I have no control. I only see." "Then you must learn to see more," the woman replied. "You are still looking at footprints. But you must learn to look at the paths." Amanda's breath caught in her throat. "The paths." The woman nodded. "You see where people are walking, but not where they might walk. Fate is not a single road, Amanda. It is a river with many branches. Some flow to the same end, but others can change course. You must learn to see the difference." Amanda's mind swirled with questions, but before she could ask, the woman began to fade. "Wait," Amanda called. "How do I learn this?" The woman's voice echoed as she disappeared. "Listen. Watch. Trust yourself." Amanda woke with a start, her heart racing. It had felt too real to be a dream. And deep inside, she knew the journey was only beginning. Over the next few weeks, Amanda trained herself to observe differently. Instead of simply looking at the footprints, she focused on the people themselves. Their choices, their movements, their words. And soon, she began to notice something new. Not all footprints were fixed. Some flickered like candlelight, shifting slightly as people hesitated, as if waiting for a decision. And when people made different choices, Amanda saw some footprints fade while others grew stronger. One day, she tested her theory. She approached a young man, Obi, who planned to travel to a nearby village. Amanda saw his footprints glow faintly, uncertain, as if his path had not yet settled. Obi, she said, perhaps you should wait a day before leaving. Obi frowned. Why? Is something wrong? Amanda hesitated, then chose her words carefully. I don't see everything. But sometimes, waiting can change things. Obi sighed but nodded. Fine. I will wait. The next day, word came that a bridge along the path had collapsed. Had Obi left as planned, he might have been injured or worse. Amanda exhaled deeply. It was true. Fate was not a single road. It could be nudged, shifted, altered. Not controlled but guided. And she would learn how to guide it well.